This video is going to be more about how to work with the views and really about how to create a new view, a custom view for yourself. And in doing so, we're going to need to talk about filters, we'll talk about groups, and a couple of other things that are needed to understand how Microsoft Project uses views. So the view that we're in right now is the Gantt chart view. I've shown already the activity entry view and then the network diagram view here. So you can see they all have quite a different look to them. When you're printing reports for the team, though, the view that you're most commonly going to use is the Gantt chart view. And of course, as we say, there's a million ways to slice and dice a project. So you may want to have a view that's grouped by and categorized by deliverable. You might also want to have one that's grouped by who's responsible for that. You might also want to have a view that shows just completed activities within the past update cycle. So in order to do that, the easiest way is to set up a new view for each one of those, and then you can go back to each one of those and then print a report based off of that view. So let's start to dissect how views work. So I'm going to click on View, and rather than click the view itself, I'm going to select More Views. And you can see the view that's automatically selected is the one that I'm in. I'm going to edit this view. And this starts to show me some of the parameters in the view definition. So I've got a name, it's got a screen, a table that it draws the information from. It's got a group, which this one actually doesn't use a group right now, and we need to change that. And it also has a filter. And you can see here that this is shown in the menu. That means that when I click on view in the drop down list, it's going to be displayed. There's a lot of views that aren't shown in the menu, and you can have those at the ready but just not shown depending on whether you select or unselect that box. So I don't want to make any changes to this one, for example, at the moment, but what I do want to do is create a group that we can use for this. So here I'm going to cancel again, and at this point I'm going to go into create a new group. That's under the project heading. So you can see here it's grouped by no group. I'm going to go to more groups in order to create a new group. So in this case, I don't want to use by responsibility or total slack. I want to create a new group based on deliverable. So I'm going to call this name by deliverable. I might in fact call it group a deliverable. So the field name I'm going to first group by is deliverable. And if I wanted to, I could then group by subdeliverable or by phase or whatever I chose to. But since I'm not using those in this project file just yet, I'm just going to select deliverable. I can change the color, the font, all that stuff. I'm just going to make this one blue, make it solid, and keep the Arial 8 point. So what this is going to do is it's going to, as soon as I apply this, it's going to take these tasks and sort them out based by deliverable. So I can apply. You can see what that's done here now. So start and finish don't have a deliverable value, so they're shown as no value. And then reports, these are the activities that fit within that category. This is the out-of-the-box fresh project view, so you've got different headings here. So you've got this thick black bar and then reports listed. That's not actually the same template that we use for the PMO template, so I'm going to modify that slightly, and I'll show you how to do that here. So this is just a little bonus for this video. If you go to bar styles, you can see here these are what determine the colors and a lot of other characteristics for what's displayed in the Gantt table. So what I want to do here is go to Group by Summary, and I'm going to get rid of these shapes. And then for the text, I want that displayed inside. Actually, I want it displayed on the inside, and delete it for the right. So now what that's going to do is just move it on the inside here. So that's still not quite like the PMO template, So here I need to go to Format, Text Styles, and I'm going to change the text style for the bar text for the inside. In this case I want 12, font point, underline, and we can keep it Arial or we can make it Times New Roman. Can't remember exactly which one, but when I click OK you'll see these change accordingly. See that? So that's more closely similar, and if you need to make any changes to the bar styles, this is the place to do that. So for example, in progress activities, I might have crosshatch rather than navy, use gray. It's not going to make any change here, but when I start to have in progress tasks, we'll see that change. And similarly, I might want to reserve the use of red for activities which are on the critical path rather than those which Microsoft designates are critical. So in that case, I can just delete, or rather change the requirements here. So this is flag 16, which is what the PSI toolkit uses. And then for all normal tasks, I just want to have that white bar. So it changes those. And then of course I might have to make the same sort of change here, the milestones. And if I make a mistake, they go away completely. So I need to figure out why that is. Oh, it's because these are not just non-critical. I just want that displayed for any milestone. And there they reappear. So that's how to apply a group to a view. Let's say now though, for example, I want to create a new view based on responsibility, because that's not one that I actually see in this default view list. I know it's already created in the PMO template, but it's worthwhile knowing how to do this sort of in-depth stuff with the project plan in case someone asks you to create a custom view. So in this case, the closest one, the most similar view currently to the responsibility view that I want to create is this Gantt chart. So here I'm going to do the same thing as I did before. I'm going to go to More Views, Gantt chart, but rather than edit this, I'm just going to copy. So I might call this one Gantt chart by responsibility. I'm still going to use the Gantt chart table. I'll change my group later, or actually I could change it now to by responsibility, and I'm still going to filter for all tasks, and I do want that to display in the menu. So click OK, apply, and you can see here, quite simple, and you've got a new view rather than grouping by deliverable, grouping by responsibility. And of course it's going to be available to me now in the drop down menu. So that's a real quick way to create a new view for yourself. If you need to change the view definition, you just go to View, More Views, Edit, and you can make those changes here. Let's say for example that rather than display all tasks, I want to just display tasks that aren't key milestones. So let's say I want to omit the key milestone from the by responsibility view, because this isn't an actual person that's going to own that. In order to do that, I need to play around with the filter that's displayed for this view. So under Project, I go to Filter, and rather than All Tasks, I'm going to create a new one. So I'm going to use More Filters. I'll create a new filter here, and I'll show Filter by Responsibility. This is the filter that I'm going to use in the Gantt chart by responsibility view. And here I want to start to enter in some of the criteria. So I'm going to say that the field name responsibility does not equal 0 key milestones. So that means that the only activities here that are going to be displayed are ones where the responsibility does not equal key milestone. So I click OK. Apply. So that applies that. So now we're just seeing Jane and Joe's activities. Here's what's interesting is if I go to View and then Gantt chart by responsibility, it shows up again. And you might be thinking that doesn't really make any sense. The reason why is because we just applied that filter to this view. We didn't change the view definition. So that may not make sense, but let me explain a little bit further. So if I go to View, More Views, and check the view definition by clicking Edit, you can see here that the filter is still all tasks. So what I need to do is, in the view definition, say that I always want it to use the filter by responsibility. Okay, apply. So now it shows up correctly, and now when I select that view, it's going to show just Jane and Joe's activities, and that'll be like that until I go and change it back. Hopefully this has been helpful, and now you know a little bit more about how to construct custom views for yourself.